Have you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die? And can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability? And Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, you've come all the way from Florida as well, so
yeah.
Long way.
Yep. Snow on the ground when I got here, and it was pretty warm when I left.
And just before we start this as well, your website address, let's just get that in there now.
That's theshamancentral.com. And you can also follow that on Facebook at The Shaman Central.
Okay, well, we'll link that up on the screen throughout the interview. 22 years old.
Yeah.
That's quite young to be a channeler.
Yeah. So when I was at Florida State, I had this experience where it started off with olfactory. And really what was happening is I was smelling different vibrations from another dimension. It was coming to me, and I didn't know what was going on. But I was picking up all these different things. And then it started getting stronger and stronger. And one day, I went out into a stairwell, and I was being so overloaded with energy that it's a very intense experience to start to recollect on. And I could say I went out, but I was still a little bit there. And I was talking about peace on earth and what needed to take place for peace on earth. And it was pretty deep about lower vibrational angels, how people talk to other people in a demeaning manner. I don't remember the totality of all of it, but I remember afterwards thinking back on it, that was not me that said that, and that was the most beautiful speech I've ever heard. And so I came back into my body, not knowing what was going on, never heard of channeling before. I went up to the janitor and I said, something just incredible just happened to me. And so I started explaining it to him, and he thought I'd gone crazy. So they went through the whole process of diagnosing to see, are you all right? My mom was intuitive enough to tell them he's psychic. That's what she said. And so they let me go home. They said, you're released to go home. Went and saw some doctors, and all of them said the same thing. They were all like, you are experiencing something that is common amongst people who are going to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder or something like that. But there's something very different about you. You're completely with it. All the counselors I went to, they said, you know what's going on, you're clear, you understand, and you might be having some whispering angel experiences. They didn't say that. That's what was going on. But, they were trying to put a medical twist on what was going on inside my head to try and give me an explanation. I knew, because I could feel within my being what had happened. I knew that there was divine information that had flowed through me because it was beautiful. And so I went through this process of trying to get back into the world and get myself grounded while seeking out spiritual centers. So I was going to a cosmic center nearby, and I started a job at Home Depot because I loved the hands-on aspect of it. It helped to balance out the spiritual life and helped get me to where I felt like I was helping people. I would love to go there and say, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? Because I would pray at Florida State before this happened. I was like, I'm here on this planet. I know I'm here for a reason. I was searching for some way that I could be of most benefit to humanity. And I would go to the beach, which was a little drive. I would sit there and I would just say, Source, God, I'm here. I'm here on this earth, and I want to help people. Put me somewhere doing something where I can be of use to humanity. Give me something. Help me help people. And so this whole started to transpire. And then I met Source through Elliot, and they told me some information about I needed a staff because I'm a shaman. And I made a staff, and the energy that started flowing through my hands after that was incredible. It was connecting with all different places and spaces that I couldn't explain. And so then a little while later, I met someone who turned out to be a twin flame, but it was later impressed to me that they were kind of like a channeling muse. It wasn't to be like a romantic thing. They were the person that was in my soul contract for me to start channeling to initially. So I was sitting there at a table with them, and I was like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. And I knew that I could channel because it had happened before. And then all of a sudden they came through me. And it was a progression from there on. And in the beginning, initially, I would remember pretty much everything that was said. And then I could feel as I was raising my vibration, exercise, juicing, doing everything I needed to do to take care of myself, that the channeling was encompassing more. It was flowing more. And the more I got up and talked in front of people, in front of churches and things like that, the more it was growing. And I felt like I was on my soul plan to do what I came here to do.
Thank you for that. So let me just take this back then. So growing up, what was that like? What was growing up like? Were you in a household that was spiritual, religious?
So my mom has always been very spiritual and very supportive of it. My father understood that there was more going on, but because of his upbringing, he came from a very military family. He shut a lot of his stuff down at an early age. He would only let it come through when he absolutely needed it. So he would have whispering angels that would speak to him. And my mom has always done a lot of healing work. She had a clinic for a while. So I gravitated toward my mother's healing work because I could feel the energy flowing through my body. And I was always really inclined to try and do that myself. I knew that there was something there for me. I was gravitating toward it from a young age. But I didn't know how it would play out. And I was very analytical before this happened. My mind was, it would spin really fast, I would say. And after this experience, everything slowed down a little bit for me. And I was a lot more calm and relaxed. I felt like I was being myself, whereas before I was searching for where to find answers. I was looking to maybe join the Air Force or just anywhere I thought I could help as many people as I could.
So what kind of person were you at school then? I mean, Was it a kind of average kind of school life?
No, I was pulling all-nighters on a very regular basis. So I was in the International Baccalaureate program at Riverview, and it was very, very rigorous course load. There would be nights where I would get no sleep. There would be weeks where I would get maybe 13 hours of sleep in a week. I was active in sports because I knew that I had to balance myself out somehow. I knew I couldn't just do school, even though the course load was very heavy. And I think the International Baccalaureate program, it actually started in the UK. So there's probably a lot of schools around there that do that too. But I was always trying my hardest to do as well as I possibly could in school. And I knew that if I just kept doing the best that I could do at everything I did, that I would get where I was going. But I did not know where I was going.
Had you come across anything of channeled material prior to having the awakening moment?
I had heard some tapes that my mom had played. I think it was Esther Hicks that she was playing. And I was listening to the tone and the frequency of the voice, and I could hear that there was something different going on there. And then after I went through my experience, I was seeking out all kinds of different information because I could feel the vibration of the different channelers and how they affected my own personal vibration and helped to raise my vibration just through the information. Some of it was truthful, some of it was not, but it was a very big discerning process when I was going through all this. Because a lot of what happened and why it was so intense was there was a lot of whispering angels that were sending me lower vibrational information that I had to push away. And there was a lot of whispering angels that were sending me higher vibrational information. And so as I got more confident in myself and I learned that I could just push those lower portions away, I became more clear and clear, and I didn't start to channel until I was very confident in my ability to discern.
And how do you know they were angels? I mean, where's the discernment come from that?
So, well, they told me they were angels, but the way that the information would come, it would be like an audible whispering in my ear. And it would go to my mental, and then it would be processed. So I could tell it was clearly coming from outside my body. It was coming from somewhere. And the angelic realm later expressed to me that it's very large and encompasses a lot, and that was where the information was being sent to me from. But at the time, it was more important because it was so interesting. It was an interesting experience that I had to learn to push it away. I had to just continually get better at that, practice, and through the different mantras and things that I would say, I would realize that certain ones would affect what was being whispered and certain ones would not. And when I would send lower vibrational angels away, they would go. And when I would just say, stop that or be gone whoever you are, it took some practice.
So, just go back to the awakening point. So you was at work when this first happened for you, when these voices first came to you?
It was. It was work for sure.
Were you still in the school program?
I left Florida State because the energy that came through me and around me at that campus was so intense. It changed every cell of my being. And it rippled very far when this happened. It was like a little thermonuclear energy ball that came through me and just...
So you could say you were highly sensitive as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And that was a process of desensitizing And then the discernment played a part in all of that.
So prior just to having that awakening at work, were there any books you were reading? Was there anything that was kind of resonating with you, or?
Prior to that awakening, I was seeking out truthful information in Taoism, Buddhism, and I knew that there were parts of the Christian Bible that were accurate, and I knew that there were parts that were not, because I did not ever believe in hell.
But at 19, 20, or 21, why were you seeking that?
Because after I went through that, because that happened at 18, so 19, 20, 21, after I went through that, it was a knowingness within my being that this was how I was going to be able to make a difference. This was how I was going to be able to affect things like I felt, because from a very young age, from the time I was 8 years old, I was always saying, I feel like I'm really here. I said to myself, if Hitler could do that much bad in the world, he was one man, what's to say I, one man, can't do that much good? And I would think that to myself when I was 8 years old. And then I was out on a bike ride one day, and I thought to myself, if Yeshua could heal people and do miraculous things 2,000 years ago, he was walking this earth, he was a man, and he said, that which I can do, you can do and more. What's to say I can't do that? I want to help people. I really, really want to help people. So
Casey was a lot like that. Erica Casey had that calling to want to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the more information I found of a spiritual nature, the more I realized that this was the route. This was the future of what's going to take place on this earth. Well, everything is sound, vibration, and spiritual.
But just keeping to the backstory as well, friends at school, I mean, did they see you go through a transformation? Are you still in contact with any of your old colleagues?
One of them I ran into at my new campus, and he said that there was something different about me. He could see it. But I don't get into explaining all of it and what exactly was going on. Because a lot of my friends from back then, they were into more of a partying, socializing aspect, and I've shifted completely into more of a spiritual aspect. And I still love and accept and understand, and some regard wish that I had a more well-rounded experience while I was at college, and I wasn't so focused on schoolwork. But I realized that that wasn't what I came here to do. I'd even go as far as saying that. I felt always, I would walk around campus and I would feel that I was not to be going into the bars. I would go into the bars, I would walk around, I would see it, and I'd be like, there's just something here that isn't for me. But I needed that experience.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
sense.
You know
what I'm saying?
So you're not in denial of any part of your human experience.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
But for you, it's not for you.
It wasn't for me.
No.
Yeah.
I understand that. I've met many others, and someone else that's your age as well that's gone through the same thing. Yeah. So I understand. Okay. So let's just go back to that moment when you had your awakened experience. I'm calling it that. Do you want to call it that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Okay.
Sure.
And so you're doing your job.
Yeah.
And then something's tapping on the door.
Yeah. It didn't tap on the door. It knocked down the door, kicked it down, blew it open, and then whatever the passage was, it blew so much energy through it that the door wasn't there anymore. And then integrating that was a process within itself.
Just describe the event that happened as well one more time.
I was in my dorm, and I could start to feel my whole body, all this energy flowing through me. It was flowing down my hands, down my feet. I was hearing angels saying high vibrational messages and lower vibrational messages. I was hearing them telling me that I was a messenger, that I was here to deliver truthful information. I went out on the stairwell, and I could feel the spirits of everybody on that campus. And I felt, truthfully, on some plane, some level, somehow, I was talking to all of them. And I was talking about world peace, how the world has to shift. And I was so passionate, I started bawling tears. And I was not someone who at this time had cried very much in my life. I had suppressed a lot of emotions, and I was bawling tears. And so it went through a process of, really, I was channeling at that point, but it was not in my conscious. And then they started coming through me, and my tone of voice changed. That was the first thing I noticed. My tone of voice was deeper, and it had more of a punch to it. And it was still talking about peace on earth, how everything is working, what's going to happen, what's going to take place. And then I was able to hear it, but it was my first experience where my mouth was moving, my lips were moving, and I was not moving them. And since I could hear it, I tried to stop moving them to see if I could, and I could not. And the information that was coming through me and the energy that was coming through me was so intense that it was shaking my whole being. I could feel it flowing through my heart. I could feel it flowing through the campus. I could feel the information going out to all the different people. And I could feel within myself a peace and knowingness that the world is going to see a brighter day. Not to say that it isn't right now, but there's going to come a time of much higher mass consciousness and vibration on Earth. And I could see it as this was coming through me. And then at the end, I would say they left, but I didn't realize it at the time exactly what was going on. And I just started crying. But it wasn't like I'd ever cried before. It was like a happy, intense cry. Like I finally found what I've been looking for.
Why at that moment do you think? Have you thought about that? Why then did it come through? You must have been ready for it. There must have been some sort of contract that was the right time.
I think you're exactly right. It was a soul contract that was the right time. Because the whole first semester there was just like a normal student at school. And the whole second semester, I could feel things shifting. I would get away from the energy on campus. I would meditate. I would contemplate. I would try and find answers to more deep meaning and truth in life.
So when that happened, how quickly before you left, was it college you call it, or school?
Yeah,
school?
yeah.
Which one?
It was a college.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how quickly after that event happened did you leave college, or did you see the course through?
No, I didn't see that course through. So after that, I went back home and I started working a job to get myself integrated. And then the next semester after that, I re-enrolled at a college that was more nearby. Because I realized while I was at that college, first off, it was so intense that I did not really care to go back there, to be honest. I have nothing against the school, but I like the school. But just the experience and what I experienced, it was so earth-shaking for me that I did not want to go back to that campus anymore.
And what have you gone on to study?
So now I'm studying biology, and I'm planning on doing an osteopathic or chiropractic route where I can integrate channeling to people and have a holistic center that encompasses crystals and all kinds of different modalities and expand it from that. But that's my mental, and I know that I'm being divinely guided to go where I need to go. So I've learned to make plans and plans change.
So you're not going to be surprised if, 5 years, 10 years down the line, if this is a completely different course that you're going to take in your life?
Yeah.
Okay. But right now, this is what you feel you should be doing?
Exactly.
Okay. So after you've had this experience, when did you start to develop this gift? When could you start to control it, when they came through or didn't come through?
Okay, so I never would use the word control because they would do what they wanted, because they were of a high vibration. And they would send messages of light and love to people when that needed to take place. So I was talking to people, counseling people, and around the church, and they would come through me, and then they would leave. And initially, I wouldn't tell anybody. People would go, "How'd you know that? How was that information?" And I'd just say, it just came to me.
What church was this?
This is a Cosmic Center of Spiritual Light in Sarasota. It's a metaphysical center. And it evolved from there. I started doing healing work. And I realized that when I was doing healing work, I would channel as well. And then I started doing some private sessions on people. And the channeling through the private sessions was, they would show up when the session started. And sometimes I would start it, and sometimes they would come, and then they would leave, and then I would do some more, and then they would come, and they would leave. And so I would meditate on it, and I'd pray on it, and I realized that I need to be in front of people speaking, because ever since I was very young, I felt very comfortable in front of an audience. I would get really excited, happy, giddy happy when I would get to talk in front of a lot of people. And my classmates would look at me like, "You gotta be nuts, Eric. Why, you wanna go first because you're excited?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I like this." So when I would get up in front of people and begin to speak, it would be clear that my energy would start to shift before the event. And it's like my whole mental starts shifting. And I'm still present and it's still me, but I can feel a shift within my mind. And then when I get up there, they'll usually introduce themselves or have me introduce them and say, this is all the higher vibrational angels, masters, teachers, and healers that are going to come through me now. And then I'll go out and then come back a little bit later on.
Do you remember anything?
Now, no. But in the beginning, I did. So it was a process of, I believe, more encompassing, flowing through my being as I was ready to handle it.
Right.
And I would even say that it's still encompassing more at this point.
Do they have names?
They just refer to themselves as all the higher vibrational angels, masters, teachers, and healers.
How did your parents take this then?
My mother understood that it wasn't me. But she didn't understand how it was happening. I had to approach my father in a roundabout way with it, and I started giving him some material on channeling, some different books that were written by different channelers. And then once I started being more successful and had more people healing, then he would look at it, because he's analytical. And then he understood that, okay, there's something going on here, and if he's having people come to him his age, delivering truthful information, people are really benefiting from this, then, you know, I'm going to support this, and I'm gonna look into what exactly is happening here and how the channeling works, I guess you could say.
And how has that been so far?
It's been good. He's very supportive now. In the beginning, he was a little skeptical. Yeah. But now, when I get on the phone with him, when I see him in person, he'll always say, you know, he'll talk to me about crystals and stones, and he won't talk to me so much about what he used to talk to me about, pushing me in school and everything, academics like that. He'll be like, you know, he'll talk to me about philosophy, Eastern philosophy. He's very well read. He'll talk to me about different philosophies. He'll talk to me about different religions. He'll get my opinion on it. And so we go to yoga at least twice a week, and he was never like that before.
So your awakening has helped him as well to progress further, yeah.
Yeah.
And for your mum as well, and for you, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk a lot about wanting to help others. Are you helping yourself with this work as well?
Yes. I feel when I come back from channeling, I feel like I'm doing what I came here to do. I feel so happy, and I feel so compelled, because I know the look on people's faces when I come back. Just that look that they have. They always have that same look. Everybody has that same look, and it's just happy. It's just, I can't describe it. It's just like people have received some information and they just feel uplifted in their being, and I know that it was something that came through me, but I understand that I have to keep my vibration high.
Would you be surprised or shocked in the future if this was as much a part of you coming through as it is something separate? It's integrated, it's not just completely separate?
Well, I believe that it's my soul contract, and I believe that my spirit, my soul has done this before in a past lifetime. So, kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, I picked that up with you straight away before, at the beginning of this interview. I was like, he's done this before, man. To be coming out at 22, and before that, you've definitely done this before. And I don't think there's any easy age for this to happen, really.
It was not easy in the beginning, no.
What is channeling to you?
What is channeling to me? Channeling would be bringing forth information from different realms, different places, spaces, in this universe and in other universes. It can encompass angels, angelic realms, beings from other dimensions, beings from other planets that will flow through and work with an individual in order to give them information that will help the planet reach a higher vibration. Now, there's lower vibrational channeling, but we are, you know, I don't want to get into that much. We're talking about higher vibrational channeling of information that comes through somebody to help the planet evolve, raising consciousness, and to help individual people raise their own personal vibration, because everything is a big puzzle. All the pieces are connected. So,
do you think we can all channel?
I think we can all channel, and I think we all do channel.
And do you think channeling's just a human word? We could swap it for another word in the future, maybe?
Yeah. As the vibration of humanity raises, I believe more and more people will acknowledge the fact that they channel on a regular basis.
The way I look at it, right, after meeting 50-something now, it's getting on, I've got to recount it soon, is it's almost like it's a funnel. At the top of the funnel is the all that is, the soul, the you. And you're funneling this into a narrow pipe, which is into the human experience. And when you channel, that pipe is widening for the, you know, to allow that greater part of that funnel to come in, or at least a portion of it. Maybe it's a tiny drop of it. Maybe that's what it is.
I feel I feel the very same funnel effect that you're describing. And as the funnel gets bigger, I start to go out. So when the information starts pouring through, when the funnel opens up, then it overrides the mental portion of my being. And the energy that flows through, my mental can't comprehend. So I believe that that's why I don't remember exactly what goes on.
Should we bring them through?
We should. Hello.
It's a blessing to have you here. Thank you for coming through.
It's a blessing to be here amongst all of you who are going to be viewing this. Because as the vibration of Earth rises, more and more will seek truthful information. They will seek out spiritual allegories that will help their being to raise their vibration and come into full remembrance of who they truly are.
So, has Eric had this in other past lives, this ability?
He has. He was a channel of pure source in one of his past lives many years ago. But we're not going to tell you when or where. We would like to keep that unbeknownst at this time.
So when Eric's bringing this through now, how many of you are there that are connected as one?
Well, the number is trillions. Although we'd like to have you know that there are over 1 million universes. There is a lot more out there than just Earth. There are billions, trillions of angels. And there are masters in non-physical that wish to help humanity flow through you and many others at centers such as this to help people heal, to help people release their old mental constructs, because as the vibration of planet Earth is raising, a lot of the work that we do when we come through this man and speak is to push those old constructs out of people, because when that nonsense leaves their being and they no longer believe that, their vibration automatically raises and they're able to intake more truthful information, and then they go out as a ripple effect in dominoes and spread it throughout society and throughout all the people that they reach, they touch, they hug, they see, they talk to.
You know, it's incredible, really. I had no idea that Eric had traveled all the way from Florida to be here now.
Well, he just goes with what he feels he needs to do at this point.
I feel that I was meant to meet you. I feel that you were supposed to come on this recording.
Well, yes, we had this planned a while ago out in the universes in the gaseous, atomic, and subatomic blueprint. Because this individual, in his soul contract, is to help a lot of people. And he feels that very much. And he knows that he has to get his voice out there so that people can hear it. Because he has healing and power in his words. And when we come through him, we can push information out through people that has a certain energetic vibration and frequency, because when he was born, when he was made, his vocal cords contained a very high octave. So some people that are lower vibration don't even like to be around Eric when he's speaking. because the sound in the vibration of his voice, because everything really truly is sound and vibration, pushes lower portions out of people, places, spaces, and rooms.
So he's calling you angels, and to me, angels is just another human word for something that we don't really understand. Could you swap it for guides?
We wouldn't like that much.
But Eric
Although
does have,
that's all right.
Eric does have guides.
We would say that angels and guides are very much one and the same. That the spirit guides that you would term work with an individual to help bring messages to them are a lot of times angels. Now they will come and relay images of faces, characteristics, behaviors that are comprehensible by the human mind.
Okay. I guess it's me that has maybe the problem with the word angel, because I just think that's so limiting to what probably this is.
Well, it's not just angels that come through him. It would be, we'll help you out with this, masters, teachers, and healers that come through him as well, that are coming through him right now, that we are, and that come through you and come through others. So masters that have transitioned onto and into the oneness, because while they were here, they accepted everything exactly as it is. Everything. So they were in the oneness. So they can flow through an individual such as this. And sometimes with the assistance of different realms, because all the realms that are flowing through this individual right here are working together, clearly, because we're coming in one fluid transmission. Although there are many other realms that try and come through at different times, but Eric's vibration is high enough that all those are pushed away. So it's only higher vibrations that are able to come through his funnel, as you were saying before.
Why 22? Why so young?
He was desiring it so strongly that it could not be. It had to take place.
As Eric develops as a channeler, and as he grows as well, will it always be yourselves that come through, or will there be others that will work with him?
There will be more that will come through him as time progresses. That's all we care to say about that right now.
Okay. And this was a soul contract?
It was. And he's had past lifetimes, as we stated, as a channeler. He's had many past lifetimes as a shaman. All of his past lifetimes, as a matter of fact, he's been a shaman in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So he's always channeled. In one of his lifetimes, he was a channel of pure source. That was what he did. He would go around and he would speak truthful information to anybody and everybody who was willing to listen and receive the information at the time. But in all of his past lifetimes, he's been a shaman, and in all of his past lifetimes, in some shape, form, or fashion, he is channeled.
What's so important about coming through right now? What's important about this time?
Well, we're going to speak about frequency and vibration here. When the Earth shifted on December 21st, 2012, because everything is sound and vibration and light, if you want to think of it that way too. The whole frequency of the Earth changed. And as the frequency of the Earth changed, the frequency of every individual on Earth changed too, because everything is harmonically connected. So, it shifted from 5 hertz, a series of 5 up and down motions to 4. And within the human encasement, this brought about changes that you're seeing on your planet of women wanting to take the position of leadership, which is their natural place on Earth at this time. So there is light, sound, and vibration. And at this time on Earth, the whole consciousness of Earth is rising. And as we stated, Eric is a shaman. So his goal is to help spiritually protect the earth and its people so that everything can rise as it should, because there are lower portions that try and get to things. So as he realized that he could push away lower portions from himself, he realized that he could push away lower portions from others as well. And because he has a large amount of compassion within his being, he prays a lot to help people. We have given him some abilities to push away lower portions from places and spaces so that the information there is truthful and the vibration begins to rise. Set up hubs, if you will. He makes staffs and wands, sells them to people that are imbued with light and love and information that will one day help this earth to protect itself more, because the earth does protect itself. It's got many layers of protection. It's got the different layers of the atmosphere, which, if you think about it, is kind of like an auric field. And those all protect your planet from perverse energies that wish to get into it. So as the mass consciousness here on Earth is raising, there will be truthful information that will be spread through this individual and many others about how to shield your Earth as it was during the time of Atlantis and Lemuria, so that lower vibrations cannot affect the population nearly as much. We're going to drink some water.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, well, obviously I've met a number of different channelers, and that's been my journey so far to interview, and there's still many more to go. And they've all got a different truth from the vibration and out of space and time where they're coming from, right? So, but there are common threads of oneness and love.
Yes.
Has been some of the common threads in this. But we all, even the channelers, seem to have a different truth. There doesn't seem to be universal truths completely.
There's different portions of the universe that come through different channelers to deliver different information to different people at different vibrational frequencies. And we all love and accept each other.
That's a pretty good way of putting it.
Because different people resonate with different information. So we support all the channelers that are channeling at a medium to high vibration, because they will draw to them that which is looking for truthful information to raise their personal vibration.
You mentioned at the beginning of all the, you mentioned a huge number of universes.
Yes.
And are you working with many of those universes?
We come from many universes, yes.
That almost implies that there's parallel realities taking place, or is it not like a parallel reality? Is it something quite different?
It's something very, very complex. But there is a parallel reality taking place. There are planes that run parallel to yours. Some of them you'll access during your dream state or in very deep meditation. And through accessing parallel planes, you can make alterations into what is going to happen on this plane here and now. So, if one practices the art of, we'll call it an art, the art of reading their dreams in maneuvering the information when they're on that different plane, they will see that it will have an effect on their life when they come back to this plane, as in they're doing work when they're sleeping, although a lot of people do not remember it. Eric rarely remembers it when this takes place. But it's part of the Spirit's contract to help remove obstacles from their path while they're in a dream state.
Have we spoken before in other realities?
You knew Eric in a time of Atlantis. But it was not in a setting such as this, and he did not channel in this manner. He was a protector and defender of truth and of light on that planet, as were you.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I think Eric mentioned that he was going to mention about, he felt that there was a connection to Atlantis somewhere.
Yes. You both were on the planet Atlas and on this planet, because there was traveling back and forth during that time. However, we'll tell you that the city of Atlantis does exist, and this individual will most likely try and find it during his lifetime. He will seek out help from other light workers. And the reason that it has not been found yet was because when the Atlanteans left, they saw all the greed, envy, and power of your species. So they made sure that the city sunk to a very, very deep depth somewhere in the Pacific south of Hawaii, so that it would not be found for a very long time until the vibration of the planet was rising and at a high enough vibration that the information that is contained within that city, because make no mistake about it, the vibration of the crystals that are there contain information for the human psyche, and they will one day be found and discovered. But it has to be by a grouping of individuals that have no interest in greed or power. They have to be doing it for the raising of the mass consciousness of humanity. But it will be found sometime within the next 40 years.
Could this be an interdimensional kind of discovery, or?
It will be aided by beings from other places and spaces. In Atlantis, the city that is sunken, connects with other dimensions, other planets, other places and spaces, and it does your Earth a lot of good from the depth that it is at right now.
But how do I know that what's coming through now through Eric is not, he's not picking up on some other parallel reality somewhere? That what you guys aren't picking up on some sort of alternative Earth where this is going to happen? How do we know it's this Earth?
Well, there is only this Earth. There's just different planes of existence.
Right.
So on different realities, on different parallel realities, there is a convergence with this one, because everything is connected. So if he is picking up on a parallel reality, or we're speaking of a parallel reality, it is this reality also. Because everything, time and space, is connected. Everything, everywhere, in all dimensions, places, and spaces. We'll go on with an explanation of this. Eric's particularly fond of this explanation when we fully explained it to him, and it's very useful at this time. The spirit, the very air, flows through everything and everyone, everywhere. The same spirit, the same air, the same life force flows through you, flows through him, flows through the camera, flows through the walls, flows through the trees, the grass, and the stones. Different encasements draw to them a different amount of spirit. For example, The city of Atlantis draws to it a very large amount of spirit. But there is no lack of spirit, air, life force, anywhere in this universe or in any others. So that's to say, if we're sitting next to you and we say, a whole bunch of energy come to us, whole bunch of spirit, whole bunch of life force come to us, there would be no less coming to you, because there is an abundance everywhere in the universe, because it flows through everything. And so it flows through all the dimensions, all the realities, all the universes, all the things that you all have termed to be separate from this planet in a different continuum. Everything is connected by the same spirit, same air, the same life force. Because before everything split up, it was all absorbing that same spirit, air, and life force. And so is such now.
And very briefly then, why are we having this experience? Why are we having a human experience?
Because you chose to. Because you wanted to come back to help people in this manner to remember who they are. That is why you are here.
And this is a way for us to grow.
Well, speaking about the totality of humanity, we would say that each individual, upon leaving their former encasement, read a brief description of their life, and then chose a manifestation that they did not fully accept to come back through. Now, if the manifestation accepted everything and everyone exactly as such, they would either return to the oneness or come back of their choosing to help and assist in the raising of the mass consciousness of humanity.
We never die?
There is no such thing as death. There is no such thing as death. That is one of the largest misconceptions on this planet. There's no such thing as death. Anywhere. Eric had a past lifetime. You're from the UK. Eric had a past lifetime with Merlin. He was one of his apprentices. And one time he was thinking out loud to the spirit of Merlin, because the spirit of Merlin, we will tell you right now, regardless of what anybody says, is not fully converged in one individual. Many of you might think otherwise. You would be mistaken. But at this time, it is not fully converged in one manifestation. It is split in multiple manifestations. So, he wanted to know how Merlin died. The answer was clear as day to him. What are you talking about? I never died. As in, there is no such thing as death. There is only the spirit air leaving and going somewhere else. Now, one individual on this planet does have the soul of Merlin. But until that individual raises their vibration to a high enough level, the full spirit will not rejoin in that individual.
As a final question then, what would be your most important message to leave us with?
Take care of your physical being. Make sure you exercise. Make sure you consume the proper nutrients for your body. and make sure you love your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your son, your daughter, and all your family members, because your bloodline is very important. Peace on earth begins within self, your family, and then all your loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guru Brahma, Guru